Peace and blessings, beautiful souls. My name is Jeanne Muhammad. I am your global happiness expert. Thank you for being here with me today. I truly appreciate your time. I know time is valuable and I don't take it for granted that you decided to spend some of your time with me. Thank you. I am grateful. In addition to being a happiness expert, I am also a assertive and confidence coach, an assertive and wellness coach. I am an author and I am a blogger. I love to write, and so every opportunity that I have, I love to write a blog or just something to help empower us. I have a website. It is iamjeannem.com. And on my website, you will be able to explore the coaching programs that I offer, read some of my blogs. I have my books where that can be purchased from my website. And also, there's a link where you can go to my YouTube channel and my online courses. That is a lot. So please go to my website and just look around and be sure to come let me know what you think and let me know how I can be of service to you. You know how there are so many women that are challenged or have faced challenges in their lives and have lost themselves in those challenges? Well, what I do, I empower these women to go within to find that healing that is within. I want them to have, and I empower them to have joy, peace, happiness in their lives. Please go to my website, and I know that there will be something there that will inspire and empower you. This is positivity is the key. And again, welcome to my corner of the world. I pondered on what I was going to speak about today, and actually, I have decided not to do as many live streams as I have in the past because I have partnered with someone to do a live stream on Sundays at 2 p.m. And the name of the um, podcast is I Am the Data, and it's with Nathaniel Evans. He's also a life coach. And he's so much more than that. I am so impressed by the knowledge that he has to offer. He is quite a few years younger than I am. But one thing that I am so thankful for is that I know that I have so much more to learn, and I'm always wanting to learn. And I'm also intrigued, especially from young people. Young people have so much to offer us that if we just take time to listen to what they have to offer, we will gain so much knowledge and so much wisdom from younger people. And so, this is what I am gaining by partnering with Nathaniel on our podcast. And it's on live on Facebook, LinkedIn. He has it's on Spotify, Amazon. He has a lot of different platforms that it can be viewed from. So just follow me And I will direct you to our podcast on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am the data. So I look forward to seeing you there. And so you may not see me on as many live streams under Positivity is the Key as I have been doing, but I will periodically do live streams because I am always being inspired by something I hear or something I see to make a comment that I think will help someone. And that's the case with today. I had not planned on doing a live, but God put it on my heart in my spirit to speak on this subject. So I say it must be someone that needs to hear this. Someone that is in a position where they're pondering, what do I do and what direction do I take? So I just wanted to speak on this today because, and maybe it could be me. Sometimes I find when I'm speaking on a subject, it will hit me that this is something for me. And I'm always listening to myself and what I have to say, because that may be God's way of saying to me, I need to pay attention to something that's going on with me. So this message might be for anyone, including me. Heal from within. Power. We have such power within us. I always speak of how we are constantly looking outside of ourselves for different things that we think we need or the things that we want. We're looking outside of ourselves without thinking about the power that we have within. And once we tap into that God given power that we have within, because God shared himself with all of us, there is a God within all of us. And with that God, there came power. We just have to cultivate it, exercise it, have faith in it, and act on it. But it's within us. We have to tap in, we should tap into it in order to lead happier lives. I am a guide. I help steer people in the direction that they must go in order to activate this power. Even some people don't even realize they have this kind of power within. I want to talk today about the power of forgiveness. I speak a lot about forgiving ourselves because I believe that everything starts with self. Self first. Before we go outside, let's deal with self. So I talk a lot about self forgiveness because truly, before we go saying, I forgive this one, I forgive that, I forgive that, what about you? Have you forgiven yourself? So we'll start there because I talk about that all the time, about forgiving self. But today I want to focus on forgiving others. and letting go of the anger that is associated with unforgiveness. If you are like me, you have encountered umpteen number of people that have trodden on you, misused you, abused you, taken advantage of you, and treated you like a trash, and maybe cast you aside like a piece of trash. I tell my story, and at one time I was ashamed to tell my story and to say where I have been and where I came from. But now I tell my story, and I'm able to tell my story because I can look at it and see where I can use it to empower other people. That's my mission in life, is to empower other people. I have been empowered by just overcoming the different adversities in my life, and I'm still overcoming. I haven't arrived yet to my final destination. I will not arrive to my final destination until a period is put before my name. So I'm constantly on this journey of learning more about myself, falling more in love with myself, and just learning different aspects of myself that I have to look at and reflect on, because I'm always reflecting on my past, but that's what I do with my past. I reflect on it so that I can learn from it. So I have learned the power of forgiveness. It is so powerful. I look at my mother and my father and the things that I endured as a child. And at one time, not so much my mother, because my mother was such a loving spirit, but my father was very abusive to my mother. And I had a love-hate relationship with him. I loved him because of the abilities and the talents that he had, and I admired those. But I also hated him for the abuse that he inflicted upon my mother. So I hated him for a long time. I entered in and out of abusive relationships, and I hated those men that subjected me to that kind of pain and abuse. I was in such a deep, dark space at one time. And I've talked about how I self-medicated myself with drugs and alcohol in order to deal with that pain. So I know what it is to have that pain from what others have inflicted upon us and what we do to ourselves sometimes as a result of that pain. And so there comes that self-forgiveness. And in order to gain our true power, forgiving others, it's not easy. It's negative emotions are easier to have than positive emotions. It's easy to be angry. It's easy. It's easier to hate. It's easier to do things to ourselves that are not the best for us It's easier to eat the wrong kind of foods. It's easier to have the wrong kind of thoughts than it is to be on that positive side and on that higher vibrational level. Being low is easier. That's why this world is the way it is, because everything is, we don't want to struggle. We don't want to fight to gain what it's necessary for us to live a powerful, empowered, enriched life, because we have been taught that all of that depends on things. The kind of power I'm talking about and the kind of level I'm talking about is something that you don't see. It's not material. It's something that's within us, something you cannot see. And this world focuses more on the things that we can see, the cars, the houses, the jewelry, the things that, the big yachts and all of these things. But what I am speaking of is what is inside of us and how we can utilize that to heal ourselves from the pain and anguish that we find ourselves in. And forgiveness is a powerful, powerful force. So why not use it? Why not utilize it? Let's do that deep down self-examination, that reflection on what am I truly feeling? Why am I angry? Who am I angry with? Is it my mother and father for how they raised me and the things that I went through as a child? Am I still carrying that grudge against my mother and my father? One thing that I learned and from my experience and going down the journey of forgiveness for my mother and father, I looked at where they were. I put myself in their shoes. And I looked at the circumstances of their life. And I came to understand they did the best that they could with what they were working with. They did the best that they could. My father, yes, he was very, very abusive to my mother. When I looked at that and decided that I should forgive him, I realized that I really did not know anything about what he may have experienced as a child and growing up. We grew up in the country. We were on a farm. We were on a plantation. He was a sharecropper. But he was a very proud man. So what did being a sharecropper and undergoing the kind of abuse that he went through during that period of time in his life, what effect did it have on his psyche? I don't know what he experienced as a child. I have no idea. Where I do know that most abusers have been abused themselves. Most abusers. 99.9% of them have been abused themselves. A child doesn't come into the world being an abuser. That is a learned behavior. So I don't know what my father experienced. So I said to myself, who is this harming, this anger and hate that I'm holding on to? Who is it doing the most damage to? It was harming me. It was harming my relationships with other people. It was harming. I even had to look at the fact that why did I keep choosing these same different kind of abusive men? What was it within me that first of all attracted them, and then what was it in me that allowed me to be abused? Because they couldn't have abused me unless I allowed it. I had a choice, but I made the wrong choice. So there was something within me that I had to accept the responsibility of why I allowed this to happen. Now, as a child, I had no control over my mother and my father, so I had to let that go. I let it go. I let the anger and the misery that I was feeling because of what I went through as a child and the abuse. I had to let it go. So that's what I am encouraging everyone to do. See, it brings tears to my eyes. Do you deserve to be angry? Do you want to continue to be angry? No, I don't think so. There's power in forgiveness. If we truly desire to find joy, peace, and happiness in our lives, that's why I can say I'm a happiness expert because I know that happiness comes from within, it's not without, it's what we have found the ability to find happiness within us. And a lot of that comes from the power of forgiveness. It is so freeing. My business, the name of my business is Freedom to Live. Think about that. Freedom to live. Once we have that joy, peace, and happiness that flows from within us, we are free to live, not exist, not just exist, but we are free to live. Once we claim our true power, we are free to live. And that comes from within. That comes, there's a spring just waiting to bubble up. Once we reclaim our power, claim that power we have within. And forgiveness, it will give you so much peace. Allow your heart to find that peace. Allow your heart to feel that peace. Allow your heart to just be open and expanded so that we can embrace life and not just exist. Life is to be lived. There's an abundance of joy, peace, and happiness, and it's within us. But two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. We cannot have in our heart anger and hatred and animosity and expect love to be there also. It's not going to happen. You have to let go of the hatred, the anger, all of that to let love come in. Free yourself. Claim your power. Forgive. Now, forgiveness does not mean that you going to have that person and tell that person, come on back into my life. I do not want my abusers back in my life. They have no place in my life, wherever they may be. But I have forgiven them. They don't have control over me. See, when you don't forgive and you're holding on to that anger and that hatred and that uh, all of that chaos in you, actually, that person or those things still have control over you. Let it go. Let it go. Reclaim your power. Forgive. It's not going to take anything away from you to forgive. As I said, you don't have to have that person in your life. You don't have to invite them over for dinner. Sit down and have a meal with them. You don't ever have to see them again. But it's so freeing and it's so powerful. Well, I think that I have shared enough for today to give us something that we can chew on and reflect on and just take a moment. Do that deep down self examination and see what it is or who is in your life or that, it may have been somebody from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, your childhood, that you may or should forgive to free yourself and to reclaim your power. Thank you for being with me today. I am Jeanne Muhammad, your global happiness expert. And until we meet again, stay blessed and stay safe. Thank you for being with me.